give now the review just by heart of Veis Gimel, then we'll continue. We're in the middle of Veis Gimel. So he said that the two ways of going, Ponim Ba'ocher, in Elikus, Sev Kalalmin and Mamala Kalalmin, and Sev Kalalmin being Melamaida Lamata, as we explained, and Mamala Kalalmin, the whole point of origin is Melamata Lamaila, so this is reflected in Avodah. So in Avodah, there is Ponim V'ocher. And what is that? On the one hand, the neshama doesn't need to be fixed, so it comes down to fix the guf nefesh habamis, elevate the world. That is the chitzonius of Avodah, the ocher of Avodah, the Hindu part of Avodah. He says, why? Because that's for Yonim Chitzonim, like the guf nefesh habamis and so on. The pnim is what the Avodah peils the Maila. Dam al Maila mimach. Now he doesn't spell it out, but connected with that, as he said yesterday, is the kavanah pnimis is the neshama itself, which is of course a chiluk l'kamim mal mamish. He brought the very same Marei Chazal that Yisrael meisifim koyach begvura shel Maila. Then he added Proteus Yoisa. So this is in now he said it in Torah and Mitzvahs, Avodah, and in elevating the world. Or actually no, in elevating the world and in being Moisef B'Gvura Shel Maila. Now he says in Avodah Gufa, there's these two Avodas. Avodah V'Seidah V'Adraga, Avodah Tzadikim, he said, and that's Bechinas Ocher. And then there's Avodah higher and Seidah V'Adraga, higher than order, and that's Avodah Sebali Tshuva B'Chel Yatir. That's what we're up to. So in Gavoya Guf, in other words, in the Tzerech Gavoya, in the pure Ruchnizdike, not the elevation of the world, but the pure Ruchnizdike effect, Avodah, there's Avodah Tzadikim, Avodah Sebali Tshuva, which corresponds to the two levels accordingly. Now, we're up to about the number 35 after the square brackets, at the end of Veis Gimel, that your database, if he looks about this Adam, we said this, I think, doesn't matter. Okay. So through the two Efanim in Avodah, so he's Mamshich, Beis Efan Hilch Belikus. He is Mamshich, the parallel Giluyim of Elikus, which is two different movements. V'hainu, Shak the Avodah Shehi B'Seidah V'Adraga B'Chinas Ochem Lamata L'Maila. For Avodah Tzadikim in general, Mamshichim Giloy Irish B'Chinas Amala Kalalmin. It's all Avodah Pitam V'Das, etc., and it's graded, and it's predictable, and it ascends from level to level. And then the Avodah Shalamanim B'Seidah V'Adraga B'Chinas Ponim, and then the Avodah Sabali Tshuva Ponim L'Maida L'Mata. So that's Mamshich Giloy Irin So Giloy Ha'Irish B'Chinas Sev Kalalmin. Dalet. However, Tachlis Hakavoni, Tachlis is not these two separate avodas, but she basically found that these two movements, the B'chinas Ponim, the B'chinas Ocher, both the internal and external, from above to below, that's internal. And external from below to above, Gam Yocher should be one. And that answers why the pasuk says, "Vehishalachti betוככם Rabbi." He added to betוככם. Both Vehishalachti, I will go, is plural. I will keep on going. It implies plurality, which is at least two. And amongst you, two avodas that you offer, but only one word. So in Chibur Beis Efan Hilach L'Maila Belikus. This is the Chibur of both levels of Elikus. Like the what's Havayu Likim Lias Hamshachas V'Gilo Irasev B'Malak Alalmin in both directions. That Irasev should be Nimshachim B'Malak V'Aliyas B'Pchnas Malak Alalmin B'Sev Kalalmin and Aliyah B'Malak in Sev Kalalmin. So Valdera say he'll explain this Bavadis Odom. So likewise, Avodah which elicits this Gilui. this fusion in both ways. Each one is a milah, and it's both. There's a milah when the upper descends, and there's a milah when the lower ascends. So likewise, so one of the perushim of kememios means two statures. Says the Gemara in the first opinion, Mosayim Am, then you will be twice the height of Admo Rishon. 200 amas. He was 100 amas, and Lasad Lava you will be, which means the Tachlis Aveda, Kishtei Koimish Al Admo Rishon. What do you mean now by these two statures? That's exactly what we mean. You will be this at once, which is the fusion of the two movements of tzaddikim and bali tshuva. Meaning, that the tzaddik's aveda will be with the gewalt, with the rashayid and seder vadroge, and that's the chiddush of the tzaddikim. The chiddush of gamba aveda sabali tshuva iti ba'ifem shamshocha pnim. He said even though he's driven with the gewalt, it is the toyu but min kelem the tikkun. It'll be nimshech and amshocha but pnimius, which means you look at him externally, he's measured and he's quiet, but inside is a gewalt, and that is the amshachas bepnimius. Now he adds, v'yesh lahaise bebira in the ilchesem kememios. There's actually two opinions. We said one opinion is what? That it's two stories, two statures, twice that of the Marishan, b'sheish b'zeh beis days. They all of the first ones, like we said, Masayimam, 200 amas, kishtei koimish al the Marishan. That's the first opinion of the Gemara. They have base, 100. The second opinion is less than the first, right? The first is 200 amas, the second is 100 amas. It doesn't go like that in Torah. The second opinion is always adds. So what's the inyan? By inyan, not less but more. The mispar meya, what's the number 100? What's the number 100? We mean literally 100 amas, lav dafki. So what's the inyan of 100 amas? Ashleim is the eser, it means the perfection of the 10. Keichas hanefesh, kefisha kol echad kolum eser. Each one of them is incorporated with the other 10. So this Meir al Shleimus, this is the perfection. The person has worked through and dedicated to the Eibishter all the details of Esa Keches HaNefesh. What you do, but Pirish Maimer HaMishas, it's on the Pirish of the Alter Rebbe. On the statement of the Mishnah, that goes to the various stages in life, and it says at the end, Meir Kilo Mes V'Ovar U'Batel Min Ha'olam. When he's 100, it's like he's dead, and he's V'Ovar, and he's moved on. And he is literally not engaging the world. It sounds like senility. That's what the Mishnah is promising, Ben Meir. It's not what it's saying. He's saying is that he's dead to all inyanim gashmiyim, and the whole world is bottled to him because he's what Ben Meir means. It's all darkness and avodah, that he reached the level of Ben Meir, which you could do younger or never. It's not a natural thing. That he's worked through and expressed all of his Esa Keches HaNefesh and all of the detail. That's Shleimus Avodah. So now that's 100. So Masayim Amo. So Masayim 200. Kishtei Kemish Ladavish, like the two statues of Admo Rishon. Shemoid ala Shleimus Hameya b'Kol Echad Mishtei HaKoimis Sheba'avodas Adam. Here we mean that there's a perfection in the two avodas. Each one independently is b'shleimus. The avodas tzaddikim is b'shleimus. That's one set of 100, and bali tshuva is b'shleimus. Now the fact that it's kememius, we mean it's one stature. He's 200 amas high. So he said before, it's the gewalt of the tzaddik and the integration of the Baal Tshuva. The second pirush is even more. Why? This integration is even greater in the second pirush, Meya Amma, because what do we mean there? Not less, but more. You can't separate it. It's one Eid, and he's at once a tzaddik and a Baal Tshuva, and in each one is the mile of both. It all unites in one tzir, and therefore it's in the end Me'am. First one is more that tzaddik has the mile of Baal Tshuva, and the Baal Tshuva is the mile of tzaddikim, and the may refer to different stages in his life. It's 200 amas. It's one person. Here it's even the bigger chiddush, that every moment is both tzaddik and Baal Tshuva. Needs to be understood, but we have some sense of not just the wonderment, but the complete oneness of it all. Are you crazy, or are you deeply thoughtful and deliberate? And he's at once both. Are you spontaneous, or everything is deeply meditated and considered before an action is taken? So both at the same time. Think about it. What does it mean? What does such a Jew look like? A chassid. That's what a chassid is. I'm sure you've met some in your lifetime. We continue, yes. So the suggestion now, the chiddush coming here, let's see what it is. That the pasuk says, I will lead you kememius masayim amos. So the two opinions, masayim meya amba, 200 amos, so 100. The room is gamma inyan dam shachas gila erasev come the Malcolm. It's not just your avoided tzaddikim bali tshuva, but he was also hinted to what we elicit. Dam shach and the gila erasev imam malakalam in this fusion. That's the fusion. Lamaila, let's say gavaya. What is the inyan? Let's see. The matter is as follows. The inyan yedua, it's known. Mina misporim. So numbers, how do numbers work? So you have yechidus, you have single numbers, and then you have tens, then you have hundreds. It's probably the proper arithmetic words for this. Single digits, and then what? And then what? Tens are called what? No, what are tens called? Single digits and tens and hundreds.
Double digits.
Double digits, and what are hundreds called? Triple digits. Okay, so it's known.
I don't know.
So these correspond to as follows: shechidas ba'asiyah, single numbers, each one stands alone. That corresponds to what elam asiyah. You listen while you're coming. Yeah, that's what you do. Huh? You listen while you're coming. Yeah. Asiri is tens, which is a great integration. That's yitzira. Well, May is in 100, that's even a great integration of the SS Fidas, that's in Bria. What's the question? Based on this piece of information we just learned, so how could there be an Olam Asiyah? We're talking about this world. Which we said is either 100 or 200, 200 or 100. Shehu Amispa de Meyes, that's 100. Sheshaych Elam Abriya. And this is all happening in our world, Elam Asiyah Agashmi. And yet we just quoted that belongs, that only begins in Elam Abriya. 100 starts in Briya, not even in Yitzira. Yitzira is tens. What's the answer? The single digits, the single separate spheres that manifest in Asiya. And Asiri is Biatzir, and a great integration of tens, and then a May is Bibria, and then hundreds in Bria. That's all mitzad what? Mitzad Agbola, the Bechnes Malakalam, and that's mitzad Ishtal Shalos, the way things descend into greater hardcore division. less integration. But what are we talking about? But here the tachlis avodah, which a year affects is that is mamshich seviv kalalmin in both directions. So there, when it's a fusion, as a yochalis hamisper the meyes gamba ilamasiyah. Ilamasiyah stands, but it's suffused with the wonders of meyes of Elam Abriya, and even higher than Elam Abriya. As it goes on to say, without the Levi Seder is a they did it betachtoinim adarab dafke lemasiyah, which is where God desires to be. So in this very highly fragmented and limited world, through avodah, it's all fused together with meyes and even higher than meyes, atzilus and higher than Isava Kadosh Baruch Hu nasa mispa yosim ruba betachtoinim dafke. Even the greatest numbers, dafke in this galil and the matter. Greatest number means your greatest unity, your greatest integration. Clear? Okay, I'm not surprised at the answer. That's the. Let's continue. Yes, for calls and nas by saying, okay, the words are the words. Got to think. Calls and Nasa de Marsein Rabbi de Seine calls man Meshach HaGolus. And all of this Tamshocha of Erasoiv in Mamala Kalam. All the way down to Ilmasi Agashmi and Dafkin Ilmasi Agashmi. And Tamshocha in both directions. The fusion of the tzaddik and the Baal Tshuva in one seamless Eved Hashem, one seamless Chassid. In other words, there's the Siyashvos in the Gewalt, and there's the Gewalt in the Yashus, in the methodology and in the thoughtfulness, in the consideration, there's the Gewalt. And in the Gewalt is the consideration of the thoughtfulness. It's Rotzui and Shuv at once. He's both Rotzui and Shuv in every moment. Every moment is the shuv. Every moment is in every moment of the shuv is the rotzi. Every moment of the rotzi is the shuv. That's Rabbi Akiva nichnas b'sholem. Even as he ascends to the deepest levels, it's b'sholem. Why? Because it's about the truth of Velikus, about the Eibishter. The Eibishter embraces everything, and is the source of everything. Havayu hulikim. Are you an intellectual? Are you crazy? Are you mad? Or you're this deeply thoughtful person? And it's both. Heichel, so all this is the avodah of this Kolzman, Mashach HaGolos, Heichel, Ma'inyan, and neither of them. Neither of these extremes ever dominates uniquely. There are times there's more emphasis, but it's never a one-way trip, one or the other. Right now it's completely calculated, and right now it's completely the mind did the vakbola, the fabling, it's never a separation. If it is, then there's no the whole tachlis has not been achieved. Because then he's just doing what he feels like at that time. He's in the mood for this, he's in the mood for that. That's not the point. Well, the situation, the environment manipulates him to be that way. That's certainly not the point. So get carried away in either direction. So all this is done throughout avodah calls ma meshach hagolos heichel me'at inyan de b'chakei siti leichel. The pasuk begins. So what does Rashi explain? But it doesn't mean to go in my statutes. Shetiyameil in b'Torah, that he toils in Torah. It's not an armchair study. Look at these words. He toils it ad mitzoy hanefesh till he literally wrings out the soul. I'm just reminded, I remember after my Yossi Spalter's father, his grandfather, Yishmael Spalter, He passed away, so they found some of his writings. Talmud Chacham, he wrote it in Nigel and so on. We also had a shtickle diary that they found. So how was he when he wrote this diary? He was this particular entries in his 60s, Mr. Very beautiful. So one of the things he writes is achlata is, and he was a Talmud Chacham. He learned. Nigel Chassidus. He writes the achlata not to be lazy in learning. No, he understands it quickly. So he understands the Gemara. It comes easy to him. The Tosfos. But to toil and go deeper and push himself. He's at 50, 60 years old. This is achlata. A lot of things he's writing that is not to be lazy in learning. He's learning. In learning, goof, not to be lazy. I know it. Next. And through this we merit all the brachas in the parsha Hechel Mashakosov, beginning with that it starts with an asati gishmechem beitamal, give your range in its right time. It's Pashat Panosa. I think I've told you many times that my father-in-law Chaim will attest to this. Wrote into it once about Panosa was challenging. The answer was to be Moishe in Shiurim. Yeah, so that's when he expanded. He rented another place in the office there it was really for once a week, the Wednesday shir to come.
Lis Onion, no. I saw the Belimud Torah Asker Alitzian. This has nothing to do with the Chabad house.
No. That was an answer to Panos.
Yeah, Chabad house is Chabad house, and Shnasa Binyan and Chabad house. This is a separate thing. Separate answer.
He wrote in for Panos and the answer to add Belimud Torah.
I saw the Belimud Torah Asker
Alitzian. From I remember, he wasn't just for himself; it was for others. So the natural result of that was to extend the rental place for other Yidden. That came naturally. Was the answer for Panos. Then when Asati Shalom Ba'ara, she says over here, right here, Amelim B'Torah. The next thing is Gishmeichem Be'ita. And then when Asati Shalom Ba'ara, it's peace. Peace. He's not a world player. Okay, he's happy there's peace in the world. The Rebbe is talking to you right now. So what does he say here? Shebezen Nichlal Gam Inyan the Shalom Bayis. I mean peace in the home. Yeah, peace in the home is added, he's saying here, through toil in Torah. Toiling includes, of course, getting up, That's not easy, right? Shekosher im Yisoid. That this is connected with Yisoid. I'll tell you what it says in the Gemara. This is the Gemara, Yisoid Nikra Meisim Shalom Babayis. Yisoid. You know what Yisoid is? Yisoid is the parallel in the goof. Yisoid is the Makam Abris. That's where you connect, you become one. So Yisoid places Shalom Abayit, which is the union of Yichud of Zun, which we're talking about right now, Zon Mukfa, the Yichud of Seif and Mamale. So what the Gemara is referring to, I'll read it to you. It's an interesting story. So the Gemara said, the Rabbi said to Rabbi Shimon ben Chalafta, read in English, why did we not call upon you on the festival on the Regel? It was actually a euphemism. He meant the other way around, but he expressed it very humbly. Like, why didn't you come and pay us a visit? In the same manner that my forefathers called upon your fathers, meaning again, the inverse, that your fathers came to my father. Why didn't you come? In his humility, you understand? That's the way he phrased the question. So his answer is, Rabbi Shimon said to Rabbi, I am too old. The rocks I used to easily climb when I was young have grown tall in my age. Meaning they seem taller. What was near to me when I was young has become distant. So it's difficult to travel the distance now that I'm older. Then he said, Mishtayim nasa sholosh. Friends, I'm not going to spell this out. You understand the rembes. You're all married. From a person who walks on two legs, he said, I now walk on 3 because I need a cane. Need a cane. And then he said, Masim Sholem Babay's bottle. That which promotes peace in the home has ceased. No longer able to be with his wife. So if I basically Pshat he's saying is that if I travel, leave home for a long time, come and see you. When I come home, I can't make up, as it were. So that's the Mokkah that Rebbe says here that we see from that unbelievable source. That the union of Yisoid makes peace in the home. Not that it brings to peace. That is the peace in the home. That is the yichud of Zoh and Nukva, which is what we're talking about, Seivev Mamale, which is reflected in the harmony between the unity of husband and wife. Follow? That's what we're saying here. If you don't know that Gemara, you don't know what Rebbe is talking about here. The Gemara doesn't mention the word Yisoid either, but that's the parallel in Spheris. And what Yisoid is the level that connects Atzilus and Biyah, Mashbiya Makabel, or Zoh and Malchus. Let's continue. So it all starts with Ameil in B'Torah. That's what it starts with. He says, Avodah B'chlal, but the toil in Torah, Panosa, Shalom, Shalom Bayis, Yichud, Zun, Mashbiya Makabel, Zoh and Malchus, paralleling the Yichud of Sevev Mamali. Let's continue. Kamesha Kosov, like the Pasuk says, this is the previous Maimer. Sheves Achim Gam Yochad. The 2 dargas we learned. Sheves Achim is the engagement, and Gam Yochad is the Nisuyin. All the different levels that we explained. That's with husband and wife, and then there's between Eden amongst each other, and Eden and the Eibishter. That was the previous Maimer. Shir Amali. Some Bogadik Maimer Lag Ba'imber. What's interesting here is he's now going to quote from the Maimer he said then that didn't end up in the Mugadik Maimer. Make that 40. You'll see in a second. It's 40 or 48. Continue. Through their yichud, this causes the birth. What's the result of that? A child. And there, in the miracle of birth, that's the true expression of Ein Sof Lamata. There's no great expression of that in the miracle of birth in this world. Commission is Berlin, like we said before, and that's what they're saying. Out of 48, we don't see it in the Maimer, but it didn't get in. They didn't. It was a Muga or whatever. They didn't put everything in, but they haven't mentioned that in the Maimer of Lag Ba'imah. Yeah, let's get very clear. And this all brings to the Bezoicha, to the glim of Yemais Mashiach. Then will be fulfilled what the Pasuk is promising, that what Hashem is promising. Vehishalachti the double movements of both the divine, me and you, within you the plural. The fusion of the 2 movements of godliness through the drawing and the unity of Sevev in Malak Alalmin, which are 2 different directions, they become one. For when Mashiach will come, that's when it will be completed. Sevev will reveal Lamata, and also the Pasuk says that's Eibishter's Gilui. And I will lead you, Kememius, upright. That's the Chibur of Bezi Fanai Hiluch, the fusion of the 2 movements, namely Shabbatis Tzadikim, Avodah Tzadikim, Avodah Bali Tshuva, and the Bali Tshuva, Kefi Sheiva Bis Mashiach, as will be then completely realized. She'osel Asovet Tzadikai B'Tshuvta, Mashiach will come and bring the Tzadikim to do Tshuva before Mashiach comes, and obviously when Mashiach comes, there'll be the Shleimus, and that has already begun. I don't know if you saw that I posted it on the Fabrengen chat. It's the most amazing thing. If you're looking for the sign of Mashiach, and this, the most practical, pragmatic example of the tzaddikim doing tshuva is on a plane. You saw these Chassidish guys putting tefillin on the kids on the plane. It was unthinkable only a few short years ago. Unthinkable. It looks like it's like a birthright trip or something, like a lot of young people on the plane. And these Chassidish chevra are all up and walking around, putting on tefillin. That's the tzaddikim doing tshuva, being part of tshuva. How does the tzaddik do tshuva? He inspires now to do tshuva. That's how it begins. Mamish. And what do they write on it's a TikTok little thing. What do they write? It's a cute little thing. Chassidim doing Lubavitch. It's mind blowing. It's mind blowing. All right, friends. today's story. Tomorrow, Mitzvah Hashem will be just a quick summary, and then we'll start the next Maamar. Maybe we'll do the Shavuos, maybe we'll come back. We'll see.